My husband lost his job, so I took double shifts and used my inheritance to keep us afloat. On our anniversary, I opened a bottle of wine and found divorce papers on the table. "I'm leaving you with the debt. The house is in my name," he said, walking out with his new girlfriend. When I called the bank, they told me something that made my legs go numb. I've never posted anything like this before, but I need to get it off my chest. This isn't just about heartbreak or money. This is about being lied to, used, and tossed aside. And it's about what I did after. I'm 42. I've lived in Davenport, Iowa my whole life. I work as an RN at a local hospital, have since I was 25. Long shifts, crazy hours, but I love the work. At least, I used to. I met Rick at a dive bar downtown when I was 28. He was funny, easygoing, seemed grounded. He worked at a warehouse, steady job, nothing glamorous. We got married after 2 years. It felt right. Not perfect, but comfortable. Rick was never super motivated. He liked to relax, watch sports, hang with buddies. But he went to work, and I figured that was enough. I never needed someone rich or flashy. Just honest. Loyal. We didn't have kids. That was a sore spot. I wanted them. He always had a reason to wait: money, timing, stress. I gave it time. I gave him time. And he used it to waste my best years. Things started falling apart 3 years ago when Rick got laid off. The warehouse downsized. He told me it wasn't his fault. I believed him. I came home that day to find him sitting on the couch, staring at the TV, beer in hand. He looked so defeated. I hugged him. I told him we'd get through it. And we did, for a while. I picked up extra shifts at the hospital. Started pulling doubles, working weekends, sleeping maybe 5 hours a night if I was lucky. I told myself it was just temporary. That he'd find work soon. That we were a team. Then my mom died. I was the only child. It was sudden. Heart attack. I barely had time to cry between the paperwork, funeral planning, and working. She left me $68,000. It wasn't life-changing, but it felt like a gift from her. I thought about saving it, maybe taking a break, maybe even starting a business one day. But Rick convinced me to use it to pay off our debt and keep us afloat. He made it sound like he was going to start contributing soon, just needed time to get back on his feet. So I transferred the money to our joint account. All of it. Biggest mistake of my life. At first, I thought it helped. The credit cards were cleared. The stress eased a little. But Rick didn't get a job. Didn't even try. He started sleeping in, disappearing for hours, spending money like it grew on trees. I'd come home from a 14-hour shift and he'd be playing Xbox, drinking beer, ordering food. No shame. When I brought it up, he'd snap. "You don't get it, I'm depressed." I backed off. I didn't want to push him further. I figured maybe this was a rough patch. That he'd come out the other side. That's what you do in a marriage, right? Then he started staying out late. Whole nights, even. No calls. No texts. He always had some excuse. Out with the guys. Clearing my head. I knew something was wrong, but I didn't have the energy to fight every day. Then came our 14th wedding anniversary. It was a Wednesday. I arranged to leave work early, even swapped shifts with a younger nurse who owed me a favor. I stopped at Hy-Vee and grabbed a bottle of the same wine we drank on our honeymoon in Galena. Cooked a simple pasta dinner, lit some candles. I felt hopeful. Naive, I know. When I walked into the house, the table was already set, but not by me. There was no music. No smell of food. Just silence. And on the table, right where his plate should have been, was a manila envelope. I thought maybe it was a card. Maybe he finally planned something. It wasn't a card. It was divorce papers. Filed by him. I stood there, frozen. The wine bottle still in my hand. I didn't even realize I was crying until I saw the drops hit the paper. Then the front door opened. Rick walked in, like he owned the place. He looked different. Like someone who finally got what they wanted. He was clean-shaven, wearing a new jacket I'd never seen. And behind him was a blonde woman, tall, thin, dressed like she stepped out of a magazine. "Didn't expect you home early," he said. No emotion. No guilt. I asked him what the hell was going on. He smirked. "I'm leaving you. The house is in my name. The debts are in yours. You can figure it out. I'm starting over." The blonde woman grabbed his hand. "Come on, Rick." They walked out together. Just like that. I couldn't move. I sat on the floor and cried until I couldn't breathe. Next morning, I called the bank. I wanted to know what the mortgage situation was, what I could do to keep the house. The woman on the phone said something that made my stomach drop. "Oh, that account's been closed for weeks." "What do you mean?" I asked. "The mortgage was paid off in full." I felt cold. "With what money?" "I'm sorry, I can't share that." But I already knew. I pulled up our account history. My heart was pounding. And there it was. Rick had transferred $67,000 out of our joint account into his personal one. Just weeks before filing for divorce. The timing lined up exactly. Then he paid off the mortgage. My mom's money. Every last cent gone. He paid off his house. With my inheritance. So he could walk away clean. Debt-free. And leave me with nothing. I sat at the kitchen table and stared at the wall until the sun went down. My hands were shaking. My chest hurt. Then something inside me changed. The tears stopped. I wasn't going to let him get away with this. I'd spent 14 years being loyal. Working myself into the ground. Believing in him. Supporting him. And this is what I got? No. He thought I was weak. He thought I'd curl up and take it. He thought he could steal from me and smile while doing it. He didn't know who he married. He was going to find out. I didn't sleep for days. At work, I could barely focus. I almost gave the wrong meds to a patient. My supervisor pulled me aside and asked if I needed time off. I told her no. I couldn't afford time off. Rick made sure of that. But I used my breaks to do one thing, learn. I read divorce laws, inheritance laws, asset division, everything. I looked into Iowa property records. I needed to understand what I could and couldn't do legally. The house really was in Rick's name. He bought it before we got married, and never added me. Said he would eventually. He never did. I also found something else. 3 weeks before he left, he met with a real estate agent. The listing hadn't gone public yet, but the paperwork had started. He was getting ready to sell our house and cash out. So not only had he stolen my inheritance to pay off the mortgage, he was about to sell the house and walk away with hundreds of thousands of dollars in profit. All while I was stuck paying off our old credit card debt, utility bills, and a car loan in my name. I felt sick. But I wasn't going to cry anymore. I needed a plan. I found a lawyer. Her name was Monica. She was direct, sharp, and didn't sugarcoat anything. She told me what I already feared. I had very little claim to the house. But then she asked about the money. I told her the full story, how the $68,000 was left to me by my mother. How it went into the joint account. How he used it to pay off his mortgage. Her eyes narrowed. "You might not get the house," she said, "but we're going after the money." She filed a motion that same week to freeze any sale of the home and open a financial investigation into the joint account transfers. Rick didn't respond right away. Probably thought I was bluffing. Until he got served. I was at work when I got the text. You think you're smart? You just screwed yourself. That was the last message he ever sent me. Next thing I knew, he filed for bankruptcy. Claimed he was broke. That there was no money. That the house sale fell through because of market issues. But I already knew something was wrong. I pulled his girlfriend's Instagram. It was public. She'd been posting pictures nonstop, fancy dinners, spa days, weekend trips to Chicago, even a new car. And in one picture, there was Rick. Holding a glass of champagne. Wearing a suit I'd never seen. Standing in front of a condo balcony overlooking Lake Michigan. I sent the photo to Monica. She smiled. Let's see what the court thinks of this. She subpoenaed the girlfriend's financials too. Turns out, Rick had moved most of the inheritance money again, into her account. Thought he was clever. Tried to hide it under her name. It wasn't enough to charge him criminally yet, but it was enough for the judge to delay his bankruptcy and force a full audit. That was the beginning of his unraveling. Rick started getting desperate. He tried to reach out, called my sister, messaged one of my coworkers, even showed up at my job once. Security had to escort him out. He shouted across the parking lot, "You're ruining my life." I wanted to shout back, "You ruined mine first." But I stayed silent. Let him dig his own hole. Then, something happened I didn't expect. His girlfriend messaged me. She asked to meet. I almost ignored it. But curiosity got the better of me. I picked a public place, small diner on the edge of town. She showed up late. Sat across from me, eyes down. She looked nothing like the smug woman who had walked into my home that night. She was shaking. He lied to me too, she said. Told me you cheated. That you stole from him. That you were abusive. I stared at her. He told me the house was his from the start. That the money was his. I didn't know it came from your mom. I swear. I didn't believe her. Not fully. But then she pulled out her phone and showed me everything. Bank transfers, messages, even a voice recording of Rick saying, "She's a nurse. She doesn't know SHT about money. She'll never fight back." Asterisk I forwarded it all to Monica. Suddenly, the case turned. We filed for fraud. The judge ordered the full return of my $68,000 from Rick and his girlfriend, plus damages. They were both held liable. The house sale was frozen indefinitely until I was paid. And Rick? He started getting hit from all sides. The bankruptcy court opened a fraud case of their own. The IRS flagged his filings. Turns out, he hadn't reported a bunch of income from side gigs and crypto trades. He was going to lose everything. But I wasn't done yet. Not even close. After the court ruled in my favor, you'd think I'd feel relief. I didn't. I felt nothing. Rick had stolen from me, humiliated me, and walked away without a single apology. Getting my money back didn't undo what he did. It didn't erase the years I gave him. The nights I cried in silence while he pretended to be the victim. And the truth was, I hadn't gotten the money yet. The court ordered it, yes, but actually collecting it? That's a whole different nightmare. Rick had already drained his personal accounts. His girlfriend's too. By the time the judgment hit, most of the money was gone. Monica told me recovery would be slow. Garnishments, asset seizures, bank liens. Months, maybe years. But then I got another message. It was from a man named Derek. Said he used to work with Rick at the warehouse. He wanted to talk about something you should know. We met at a gas station parking lot just off Highway 61. He didn't want to be seen in town. He told me Rick had been bragging to old buddies about how he knew the system. How he funneled the money into prepaid accounts, crypto, even cash. Said he was untouchable. But the part that got me? Derek said Rick had rented out a small storage unit on the other side of town. Paid in cash. No paper trail. He was keeping cash, jewelry, and electronics there, stuff bought with my money, stashed away in case the court froze his accounts. I asked Derek how he knew. He pulled out his phone and showed me a photo of Rick unloading a flat-screen TV into a unit marked B37. Said he used to work part-time for the storage company before quitting. I thanked him and left. Next day, I drove out to the storage place myself. I didn't go in. I just sat across the street in my car, watched people come and go. Then, just after 6 p.m., I saw him. Rick. Pulling up in that same old truck I once helped him buy. Same dent on the side, same broken tail light. He walked in with a black duffel bag and came out empty-handed 20 minutes later. I took a video. Sent it straight to Monica. 2 days later, the judge signed off on a court order to seize the contents of the unit. The sheriff's office opened it while I stood right there in the parking lot, arms crossed, heart pounding. Inside? $14,000 in cash, 2 luxury watches, designer handbags, for the girlfriend, no doubt, a tablet still in the box, a folder with documents, real estate listings, offshore account inquiries, and a printed list of pawn shops and cash conversion services. Everything was taken. The judge ruled it all as recovered funds from the fraudulent use of my inheritance. Rick tried to fight it, but he had no leg to stand on. His lies were unraveling faster than he could keep up. Then came the biggest twist. A week later, I got another message. This one from a woman named Lauren. She introduced herself as Rick's first wife. Yes, first. He'd been married before me. In his early 20s. Said it was annulled. He told me she was crazy and dangerous, and that she cheated on him. Lauren told me a very different story. She said Rick drained her savings, too. That he opened credit cards in her name, wrecked her credit, and left her with over $20,000 in debt. That he faked a medical emergency to get her to cash out her 401k. She tried to take him to court, but couldn't prove anything. He covered his tracks better back then. She found me through a mutual friend, heard what happened, and wanted to help. I don't want him to do to you what he did to me, she said. I don't care about revenge. I just want him to finally be exposed. She gave me old receipts, emails, even audio clips she saved. Rick had told her the exact same lies, almost word for word, about being jobless, about needing her savings, about investing for their future. I gave it all to Monica. And Monica? She lit the fuse. We filed an additional complaint, pattern of financial abuse across multiple relationships. The court scheduled a hearing to reevaluate his bankruptcy in light of a possible fraud pattern. The IRS took interest too. They opened an investigation into his crypto activity, income misreporting, and wire transfers. His new girlfriend left him the moment the sheriff's office showed up at her condo with a search warrant. She packed up and disappeared. Rick's truck got repossessed. His license got suspended. His accounts were frozen. His friends cut him off. But I still didn't feel like it was over. He thought all this was rock bottom. He didn't know how far I was willing to go. Rick thought he could outsmart everyone. He thought he'd drain my inheritance, pay off the house in his name, dump me, walk away debt-free, and start over with a new woman. He thought he'd bury the evidence. Hide the money. Twist the truth. But he didn't count on me getting up off the floor. And he definitely didn't count on me becoming someone who wasn't afraid to burn the whole thing down. After we handed over all the evidence, the storage unit, the girlfriend's financials, Lauren's statement, the fake bankruptcy, the dominoes fell fast. The IRS audit went deep. Deeper than I expected. Turns out Rick had been lying on his taxes for years, underreporting freelance income, hiding crypto trades, not disclosing gambling winnings. They hit him with back taxes, interest, and fraud penalties totaling over $89,000. He tried to negotiate. Claimed he was broke. Didn't matter. He also lost his bankruptcy protection. The court ruled that it had been filed in bad faith. That meant he was now personally responsible for every dollar he owed, not just to me, but to every creditor he'd tried to run from. And remember the house? The one he paid off with my mom's inheritance? Well, turns out the court had the authority to place a lien on the property. Monica filed a motion to force a judicial sale, meaning the house had to be sold, and I'd get my money before Rick saw a single cent. Rick fought it. He hired a new lawyer. Claimed emotional distress. Said he was being financially bullied. He lost. 3 months later, the house sold to a retired couple from Omaha. I got every penny of my inheritance back, and then some. The judge awarded me $68,000 in restitution, plus $30,000 in damages, and $12,000 in legal fees. Rick walked away with nothing. Correction, less than nothing. Because after the house was sold and the IRS took their cut, he still owed tens of thousands in personal debt. And now that his girlfriend was gone and his friends had bailed, he had no help. He had to move back in with his older brother, who lived in a cramped apartment above a bowling alley. I know because Lauren told me. They still talk. She's been watching it all unfold just like I have. But it doesn't stop there. Turns out, the hospital Rick claimed laid him off years ago? They hadn't. I ran into an old employee at a coffee shop, and she remembered him. Said he was fired. For stealing inventory and falsifying timesheets. I passed that info along to the fraud investigator handling his bankruptcy violations. They reopened that case too. Last I heard, he's under criminal investigation for bankruptcy fraud, tax fraud, and falsifying financial documents in 2 states. And me? I'm not gonna sit here and act like I walked away from all this without scars. I lost years of my life. I lost my trust. I lost my mother and let that pain get swallowed by betrayal. But I didn't lose myself. After it was all done, I took a 2-month break from work. Went down to Missouri, rented a cabin near the lake, and sat in silence. No emails. No court filings. Just space. I thought a lot about who I used to be. The woman who stayed silent. Who worked double shifts while her husband partied. Who handed over $68,000 without asking questions. Who ignored the signs. That woman is gone. I sold the car I shared with Rick. Traded it for a used Jeep I paid for in cash. I bought a small condo in Bettendorf, not far from the river. Cozy. Quiet. Mine. And I did one more thing. I set up a small scholarship in my mom's name, for nursing students from low-income homes. It's not huge, but it's enough to help someone like me get started. Her money deserved better than what Rick tried to do with it. So I gave it a legacy. As for Rick? Last I heard, he was working nights at a gas station and driving DoorDash during the day. He's got court dates ahead. Fines to pay. Lawyers to answer to. And I hope every mile he drives, every hour he spends behind that counter, reminds him of the woman he tried to crush. The one who didn't just survive, she made sure he'd never forget what he did. Not for a single damn day of his life.